I'm Jared Weiss,
And I'm Alex Benson.
and we are Ethereal Sunrise back once again to give you the inside scoop on the crazy machinations of the two of us, two totally normal musicians writing normal music. We are here today to talk about the sixth song off of our album Steady as Rock, I Sold My Soul to Rock and Roll, which we swear is not autobiographical. Please don't press us on that. So this was the second song on the album that we co-wrote, where we both worked on the music, and Alex, you took the lyrics on this one, which we'll get to. Alex, maybe you can remind me a little bit about how we got launched with the music for this one. I recall that for both this and A Soft Rain, you kind of brought a couple of different ideas, just parts of each song to the table that we would then end up fully fleshing out.
This song was sort of the inverse from Rule the Night in a lot of the ways, and that with Rule the Night, I think you had brought in a lot of the riffs, and then I had a lot of hand and arrangements, and then sort of filled out the space where we needed other things. Whereas with this one, I think it was a lot of I brought in a lot of riffs and a lot of the sort of arrangement, and how it wound up being a rather kooky arrangement was a big part of your responsibility, I think. So yeah, I had the intro, all of the sort of arpeggiated parts were also already done, and I had originally conceived of the song that it was going to be this sort of dark gothic song, and I knew that since it was going to be one of our sort of co-composed songs, I wanted to again sort of play with the dual vocalist aspect, and I had some sense it was going to be some sort of storytelling type song, um, and that maybe we would be sort of each playing a character. It would sort of have something like that, some sort of rock opera type thing, but it was going to be sort of this dark gothic thing, and hence it has this dark gothic intro. Um, and so at the end of the intro, I had initially been thinking, oh, then it will go to like the sort of slower, sort of swaying part, and then it's going to, continue that sort of dark atmosphere. And I remember when we were doing the intro, you're like, and so then it goes to the fast part, right? It's like, oh, okay. And so like, well, what sort of fasting will we do? And so that the main verse riff actually comes from Genesis primarily, late period Genesis actually, like the songs off of We Can't Dance, like Jesus He Knows Me, that are just sort of repeating guitar riff with a changing chord pattern underneath, that was sort of a bit different from how we had done the rest of the songs. And then we just sort of stole from Deep Purple to sort of connect those two sections,
Right.
which was a lot of fun.
Right. If you have a signature song, Alex, in terms of covers, I think it may be Highway Star.
It's a fun one.
Right. I think it channels your energy perfectly, and you certainly lean into the vocals when you do it. So it was only inevitable that we stole from that at some point on this album.
Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right that you had sort of initially thought about it going into this kind of slower, and I think somewhere in there is where that your original connect between Sold My Soul and A Soft Rain was. I think one of the Soft Rain parts maybe was where you thought it was going to go. And I remember when you played them, I said, I actually hear them as potentially two different songs. So I think once we pulled away whatever the soft part or slow part of Sold My Soul was supposed to be, and we knew that the slower energy was going to go into the other song, I was like, all right, let's kick this up a notch. And so we got started with the verse with this kind of repeating Genesis like pattern. um, I seem to recall that I was kind of making vaguely melodic noises over that, which sort of became, vocally, which you then lightly used to form the vocal melody and
Mhm.
lyrics ultimately. The chorus has a similar tone. I think I initially came up with the riff for that we ended up transitioning to the bass.
Mhm.
Originally was meant for the guitar. Um, and then we did something kind of glorious, didn't we?
Yeah, and the fun thing with this song is this song was really written linearly. So
Yeah.
it was written in the order in which you hear it.
Right.
And it was just sort of like, well, we just did this, so now this comes next, and now this comes next. And it was not actually as thought out as maybe it sounds, but or maybe it doesn't sound. I don't know. But yeah, so Jerry was playing this ridiculous riff over the chorus, and then we got to the end, and I very just goofily on the guitar just went bow bow down 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 down, and we both had a good laugh when I did that because it was such an absurd riff, and then we're like, well, the only problem is it actually sounds good. so
Right. Right.
yeah, we kept going with that.
Right. I think we knew that we wanted it to go to E because the chorus ends with it's in G minor, it ends with the 4 and then the dominant 5, a seventh chord. Um, and knowing that we wanted this to be kind of a multi-movement piece, we were like, all right, well, we don't want to just go back to the G minor, let's go somewhere else. And so continue to work up to E made sense. Um, I don't think we envision it being quite this gloriously dumb. But we could every we like for a couple days. I remember we would just play it and crack up laughing. And I think that really was when we knew that the tone of this was going to be generally goofier, because we were like we can't get rid of this. It's just too funny. Um, and then we really hand it up by having you do a bunch of uh, fun fills on multiple instruments, flute, guitar, bass,
Mhm.
um, to really lean into that campy feel in that section.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that was definitely the moment that I let go of the dream that this would be some sort of dark gothic thing. And it's like, okay, it can be dark, but it's gonna be campy dark.
Right.
And just sort of let loose and have fun with it and sort of just let our meatloaf influence kind of take over and just go whole hog into the absurdity of it. Which is I do think what makes this song one of the most fun songs on the album. Um, and so yeah, it goes from that sort of dirty bluesy section, and then we had those arpeggiated parts that I had already written in, and so Jared was like, "Hey, let's just sort of throw them in there." And then as we're doing that, let's just intersperse it with the chorus again. So now we're
Right.
sort of in this really kind of bizarre place, particularly from a song structure standpoint, in that it was not just first chorus, which we had known that we wanted to sort of do something that was a bit freer from that form, and because the song was already kind of just a lighthearted, fun thing, it really freed us up to just experiment as much as we wanted with the song structure.
Right. I mean, I think at its best and most deliberate, Prague suites or Prague mini suites are almost like musicals, right? I mean, you have different themes, you have different motifs, and as you get closer to the end, in a lot of musicals, you'll have those callbacks to the earlier motifs. They'll just show up for a moment. Um, so as I was, completely just ruining Alex's ideas of what this song would be completely, I was like, all right, let's do the spacey arpeggiated bit, and let's go back to that blues bit, and go back to the spacey arpeggiated bit, blues bit, spacey arpeggiated. Up, now we're back to the chorus, back to the spacey arpeggiated. Um, and in some ways, I think it actually, despite all the rapid back and forth, ends up pulling it all together kind of more cohesively because it can just draw on all these different parts of the song, before ultimately leading, having a bit of a guitar solo that ramps back up to where we started with the verse.
Yeah. And then ultimately the grand bombastic finale with those absurdly longly held notes that both of us were like, why did we do this?
Yeah, and of course, no goofy Prague mini suite about the devil can be complete without sinister laughter at the end, which I think really is the most critical piece of the song.
Yeah, I'm sure most people would agree.
Right, it's what elevates it from competent rock and roll to high art. I
Mm,
think.
hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I think that's pretty much how the song was written and arrangement came together. This was another one where we kind of just we sort of just picked parts, and I ended up doing the main uh, guitar throughout. You can call it the rhythm guitar, I guess, although really much of it is playing that lead line in the verses. And then I in the chorus and the bluesy sections, it's more chords. I think we still don't actually remember. We have differing opinions on who played the arpeggiated part. I think.
I think it was
Um,
me.
yeah, I had thought it was me, but now I'm less sure of that.
Yeah.
Um, but you generally handed all of the improvised parts, be it flute, guitar, um,
And the
even the bass
bass. And the
licks.
bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, you were on bass throughout. Um, I don't know if you have anything in particular you want to say about your lyrical process
Yeah.
on this one.
I had just started listening to Ghost, um, who, have this sort of delightfully um, kind of campy, sinister sound to them as well. And I was like, that's actually uh, kind of a perfect fit for this sort of song. And from that was like, okay, well, we could do kind of a riff on Faust, um, and just make it that you're selling your soul to the devil for rock and roll, and that then fit in towards the dual singers, and that one person could sort of be that sinister figure, and then the other person could be kind of the Faust character. And I, of course, took the darker role because I like doing that. And then in terms of what I was actually writing the lyrics, I did try to tell some sort of story with it, and have some of it kind of be like the two singers are conversing with each other. And actually, it pretty much all wound up being that way, as opposed to just
Right,
like having some sort of third narrator or something like that.
right,
And I also decided to make it kind of ambiguous as to whether or not this was literally the devil or this was sort of a figurative devil-like figure, which I think just kind of adds to the fun. Um,
mhm,
and so yeah, it turned out to be a fun romp, of a song.
right. And I think the kind of two character approach, always in dialogue, again, kind of fits the whole almost musical like uh conceptualization of this suite.
Yeah, and then the fact that it fit so well with Madam Sing ultimately, and that it sort of forms this kind of 11-minute suite in total
Right,
that just goes, takes you through all these different places, and it really feels like a fun roller coaster ride. And one of
yeah,
them is sort of more kind of intellectual and measured and kind of atmospheric in that way. And then the next one is just like all out fun, and yet they're right
right,
next to each other, and yet they actually fit perfectly together and sound like they're, that they're consistent in terms of the overall sort of musical message.
right. And I think that was in no small part why, as we were developing the album as a whole, we realized, what, this really has to be the centerpiece, these two together, because it just covers so much ground. It really shows the range of what we can do. It covers that whole spectrum from dark, brooding, atmospheric to just ton of fun, just roll with it type energy. Um, and I think it really anchors the album very well in that middle stretch. You can hear the song and the whole album on any major music streaming or download platform. You can also find links on our social media pages, and there'll be a link to the song itself at the end of this video. Thank you for watching. As always, we hope you have as much fun listening to the song as we did making it. And I'm Jared Weiss,
I'm Alex Benson.
and we are Ethereal Sunrise. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
I sold my soul to rock and roll, but a chance to be